Disclaimer, this content is fictionalized recreation for entertainment and educational purposes only, not factual reporting. Viewer discretion advised.
Listen to me closely. If you are alone, turn on a light right now. What I am about to tell you is not just a story. It is a warning. A warning about the sound of 3 knocks. It is a sound that has followed me out of a case file so dark it ended my career. It is the sound a man makes when he is buried alive and is trying to claw his way out of his own coffin. And if you hear these 3 knocks tonight, do not go to the door. Do not try to find the source. Just run. This is the story of Coffin Number 7. A story so terrifying, I need you to do something for me right now. If you are brave enough to hear it, please show me I am not alone in this. Hit the like button now. It sounds simple, but for me, it is a signal that someone out there is listening. And while you're at it, subscribe to this channel. What you are about to discover will make you question everything you think you know about death. And I have many more stories like this to share. Your subscription ensures you will not miss the next descent into the unknown. Now, let us begin. The call came in at 3 in the morning, the witching hour. My partner's voice was shredded with a panic I had never heard before. "Grace, they are digging him up," he said. "The knocking has started again." My blood went cold. I knew exactly who he meant. The Allard case, my white whale, the case that forced me into this early retirement. Dr. Lewis Allard was a brilliant man, a pillar of the community, and he was the first to hear the knocks. 3 slow, deliberate taps on his window pane. He would rush outside, his heart pounding, only to find the lawn empty. The next night, the knocks were on his office door, 3 heavy thuds that shook the wood. But when he yanked the door open, the hallway was deserted. The 3rd night, the knocks were right beside his bed. Tap, tap, tap. As if someone was standing over him while he slept. He came to me, a desperate man. He said it was the ghost of a young sailor, a man he had pronounced dead after a night of heavy drinking. He said he had buried the man in a cheap coffin in a rain-soaked grave. He was certain the spirit was back for revenge. I was a young detective then, full of skepticism. I wrote it off as stress, the pressure of his job. I told him to get some rest. I closed the case. A week later, Dr. Allard was dead. He had jumped from the roof of his hospital. But he left a message for me, a tape recorded on an old answering machine. I still have it. His voice is a broken whisper. He says, "Grace, they are not knocks from the outside. They are knocks from the inside. He's trying to get out." Then the sound of shattering glass. The line goes dead. That tape haunted me. I pushed and pushed for an exhumation. The city refused. They said the case was closed. The doctor was a suicide. End of story. But I knew. I always knew. So when my old partner called, I did not hesitate. I drove through the storm to the old cemetery. The grave was already open, a gaping black wound in the earth. The rain fell in sheets, turning the dirt to mud. The gravediggers stood far back, their faces pale with superstitious fear. My partner shone his flashlight down into the pit. There it was, Coffin Number 7. The cheap pine was splintered and rotten, but that was not the worst part. From the inside of the lid were deep gouges, long, frantic scratches made by human fingernails. The coffin was empty except for a heavy pile of rocks. The sailor had been buried alive. He had woken up in that utter blackness, in that suffocating silence, and he had tried to scratch his way through solid wood. He had been trying to answer the doctor's knocks. My partner turned to me, his face grim. "That is not why I called you, Grace," he said. "We got a call an hour ago from the new family living in Allard's old house. They are hearing the knocks, 3 slow taps, and they found this nailed to their front door." He handed me an evidence bag. Inside was a yellowed page from Dr. Allard's personal diary. One sentence was circled in a rusty brown that could only be blood. It read, "I knew his pulse was weak. I knew he was alive. I buried him anyway." The air left my lungs. This was not a haunting. This was a confession, and it was a revenge plot. The doctor had not been haunted by a ghost. He had been tormented by a living man, a man he had condemned to a hellish death, a man who had somehow escaped his own grave. Before I could speak, we heard it, faint but clear through the drumming rain. 3 distinct knocks. They were coming from the direction of the old maintenance shed. This story is getting more twisted by the second, and I promise you the revelation at the end will shock you to your core. If you are still with me, please take a second to subscribe. The algorithm can be a fickle thing, and your subscription ensures this story reaches others who need to hear this warning. You will not want to miss what we found in that shed. We approached the shed with our guns drawn. The door was slightly ajar. A deep, impenetrable darkness waited within. The knocking had stopped. The only sound was the rain and the frantic beating of my own heart. I pushed the door open with my foot. The smell was overwhelming. Damp earth, decay, and something else. The metallic tang of old blood. My flashlight beam cut through the gloom. It was a tool shed, filled with the mundane relics of cemetery upkeep. And then the light found him, a figure hunched in the corner, sitting on an upturned bucket. It was a man. His clothes were rags, caked in ancient mud. His hair was a matted nest. His hands were wrapped in bloody bandages. He looked up. His eyes were the eyes of a creature that had seen the absolute worst of this world. It was the sailor. He had not vanished after his escape. He had been living here, in this shed, hiding in the shadows of his own grave. He opened his mouth, but no sound came out. He just lifted a trembling, bandaged hand and pointed at me. Then he pointed past me to the open grave. A cold realization washed over me. He was not the one knocking. He was a victim, a broken soul. The real monster was still out there. The door to the shed suddenly slammed shut behind us. The bolt clicked home. We were trapped. And from outside, a new sound began. Not a knock. This time, it was the slow, grating crunch of a shovel biting into a pile of dirt. Then the sound of that dirt being thrown onto the roof of the shed. Thud. 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 It was happening again.
We were being buried alive. We screamed, we beat on the walls, but the shoveling did not stop. It got faster, more frantic. Then a whisper filtered through the walls, a voice I knew from the tape, the voice of Dr. Allard. "Now you know what it sounds like," he whispered. "Now you know how it feels." The dirt piled higher. The roof began to groan under the weight. The darkness became absolute. In that final moment, I understood. The knocking was never a plea for help. It was a lure, a bait to bring new victims to the grave. The doctor and the sailor, they were in it together. Two madmen bound by a shared trauma, perpetuating a cycle of terror. We were not detectives solving a case. We were the next offering. This is where I must leave you. The story of Coffin Number 7 does not have a happy ending. It is a story that is still being written. And if you listen closely tonight, if you hear 3 slow taps on your window pane, you will know the cycle continues. If this story has unsettled you, if it has made you look over your shoulder, then my work here is done. Share this video with someone you care about. Warn them about the 3 knocks. And leave a comment below telling me what you would do if you heard them. Your experience might just save someone else. Thank you for watching.